Hey guys, thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to show you my grocery haul. I went grocery shopping yesterday and I have lots of things here that I'm keeping in my fridge to make meals for the week. And I'll show you meal preps for the week, how I plan for my meals ahead of time. So basically, walk you through some of the dishes that I have to have in my fridge, in my pantry, and that makes my life so much easier because I have it ready. It's going to be fast. If I'm all day busy and come home late in the evening, I can still make my own dish on the stove or in the oven. I don't have to go to a fast food chain and think that that's going to be solving my hunger problems. So let's get started. So here I bought some avocados. I really always have to have avocados that I use in salads, or I make some kind of dip or spread with them with some Greek yogurt. I also have some French feta cheese. It's Valbressa brand. I really like this one. It says 100% sheep's milk cheese, French feta, very, very delicious. Some hummus, also I bought some carrots and some of these fresh Brussels sprouts, some very nice tomatoes that I found. I bought this cabbage because I can make some soup with this, or I can actually make some of the sauteed cabbage and I can add it to rice, or I can add it to meat like chicken, and it's very, very delicious with some carrots and tomatoes. Also, I always have some red onions or some white onions, but I do like red onions. They just add a special flavor to some dishes. I got some sweet potatoes, some eggplant. I already used some last night. And of course, peanut butter and some dark chocolate, 72%. And lots of berries. I did get some berries. Sometimes I make yogurt fruit dish in the morning with some yogurt, some fruit, granola, and that's a wonderful breakfast full of protein. And so I also always have a lot of fruit in my kitchen, and I did buy some more yesterday because that's my snack. I have usually these green lentils, dry lentils, because I add them to my rice, or I make lentil soup, and that is full of protein. I will saute some vegetables and add to this whole wheat organic pasta. I usually have some in my pantry as well. So also I did buy some canned goods, and this brand is really good, 365, because especially if it's organic, it's pretty natural. But whatever I buy canned, I bought some garbanzo beans. I will use them in salads. I bought some black beans, also use them in salads. These are some red kidney beans that I use in when I make red beans and rice. It's very easy dish. So I do buy canned goods, but I rinse everything before I cook it because I like to add my ingredients and my seasonings. And when, even though here says, for example, black beans, no salt added, so that's good, but I will still rinse it and add, fresh water, maybe some vegetable cube or chicken cube, and add my own salt, pepper, some other vegetable seasonings, garlic, whatever, but I'll make it my own. So that's why I usually rinse it. And plus, sometimes if you buy these in, some other brands might have a really high sodium content in them. So just be careful with that. These are some crushed tomatoes that I usually have, and I will add this to my saute vegetable dish that I'm going to show you a little bit later. It's going to be fantastic, really delicious, yummy, fast. And just you can use that. You can store it in your fridge, and you can use it with, some lentil rice on the side, maybe some um, chicken, or also maybe some whole wheat pasta on the side. So there are a few different varieties that you can do. So stick around and I'm going to walk you through that and show you some delicious meals. Here I'm making my favorite lentil rice. I start with rinsing 1.5 cups of rice. I add some water to it, like you see, not a lot. I add some salt, some olive oil. I let that cook until the water disappears. I add also, before it starts boiling, I make sure I add the lentils, a couple of handful of lentils. And like I said, I let that boil until the water is all gone. It doesn't take a long time. It's just important to see that the water is gone, and then you cover it with with a soft cloth or a towel, and just on a low, you leave it, and it's gonna be fabulous. Here I have my ingredients: eggplant, carrots, some potatoes, also some Brussels sprouts, some of these little tomatoes, some red onion, and I'm going to chop that up and make that into a wonderful saute vegetable medley that you can use with different either with this lentil rice or with some pasta. There are many different possibilities, or just by its own, on its own. Isn't this gorgeous? So this beautiful vegetable medley will go in the pan with some olive oil, some salt, pepper, some garlic, and it'll be fantastic. I'm starting with some olive oil, and once it gets a little bit more hot, I add the vegetables that I prepared just a few minutes ago. And I let that saute for a few minutes. I also add my seasonings: salt, pepper, some garlic. I added some red pepper flakes, and I'm also adding about 5 tablespoons of those crushed tomatoes. They really taste so good in this dish. At first, I let it sit like that, covered, and then I uncover it, let some of that water evaporate. Actually, the tomato juice, it will evaporate, but we'll add a lot of flavor to this dish. So it only takes about 10 minutes to do this, and it tastes fantastic. It's really full of flavor, and it's just so good for you. So I have made the rice. It's very fluffy, not sticky, and that you can do with this basmati rice. So I'm going to put a little bit of this lentil rice on my plate. And then I have these vegetables that I made, lovely vegetables. I love it. It has a lot of protein because lentils have protein. Also, vegetables have a lot of protein. We all think of meat like chicken and beef when we think of protein, but really, vegetables have protein in them. But lentils add some good protein to my dish. And also, if you wanted to add some shrimp to this, I think it would go very well. Okay, so let's try. Mm, so delicious. Just very tender, very fluffy, and very, very tasty. So good for you. And you know the little tomato, crushed tomato that I added, it just adds a special kick to this. And some of those red pepper flakes, fantastic. Since I have this dish for today, for lunch and dinner, I'm also making a little bit prep ahead of time for my soup, cabbage soup, and some also some sauteed cabbage that I'm going to make this coming week. So all I'm going to do today is cut this cabbage and make it ready. Cut this carrot and keep it for whenever I'm ready to cook. Cabbage cooks very fast, so that's one of those dinners that you can make because it really cooks fast. And you don't want to put a lot of water when you cook cabbage because it can become mushy. So just add, a little bit of water on the bottom just so it would have enough to not burn, but it doesn't need to be all covered in water. And then add some salt, pepper, some, of course, saute onion first, and then add cabbage and some water, and then salt, pepper, and whatever seasonings you like. I usually use salt and pepper, and just a little bit of tomatoes or tomato juice and some carrots, and it comes out fantastic. It doesn't take but really maybe 30 minutes to cook, and then you have either a soup. Soup is if you add a little bit more water, and if you don't want to be very liquidy, then you can just add a little bit less water and kind of let it just saute, let the water evaporate, add some paprika, and it comes out fantastic. And you also don't need to cut this in very small pieces because cabbage, as long as you have them into some, reasonable size pieces like this, for example, that's all you need to do. Cabbage is very soft. It'll be fine if you cut it in just those little squares. And like I said, you don't need a lot of water because it can become mushy very fast, and don't cook it for too long, maybe 30 minutes, and that's all you need. So after cutting it like this, I will put it in some sort of container and it'll be ready to go. And now just cutting up this carrot. I'm ready with my meal prep. I will use the onions that I sauteed first, but I will not cut the onion ahead of time. I really think that onion loses all its flavor if it's cut ahead of time. So I will do that part whenever I'm ready to cook this. But at least I have this done and it'll save me a few minutes. But really, honestly, this kind of thing doesn't take a long time. So I think I'm going to be in good shape. After enjoying my lentil rice and vegetables, I wanted to get some kind of a dessert. So I thought of this really fast, fabulous, yummy dessert. So you start with boiling about just like a half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Let it just start to boil, turn it off, add about a handful of dark chocolate chips, and it comes out like this. It's really thick. It's kind of like a hot chocolate, French hot chocolate, which is very thick. but it's also like a little mousse. And then I added some whipped cream to it and some raspberries. Oh wow, it's so good. So good. This hot chocolate is fantastic. It's a thicker kind. It's really more like a mousse, and so it makes a fabulous dessert. Notice I didn't add any sugar to it. It's just cream, dark chocolate, and some raspberries. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.